Is my screen visible?
Yes.
Okay. So before starting today's session, any questions from a previous session to discuss? Okay. So let me give a small recap what we have discussed in a previous session. So we have talked about like IaaS, PaaS and SaaS component one more time. And then we discussed about types of cloud computing, that is public, private and hybrid. As part of our training, we're going to talk about public cloud offering from Microsoft, that is Microsoft Azure as a cloud offering. And private cloud is something like where you will maintain your in-house data center responsible from all the regions from the basic to the up to the till your layer of till to the layer of orchestration of a private cloud platforms, right? And then we have a hybrid cloud offering. So hybrid cloud is something where you could handle both the public and private clouds, right? Combination of both the environments, we'll call it as a hybrid cloud environment. And then we have talked about global regions, global presence, how you can validate the products availability by region before something you are committing to your client or your customer, how you can validate by using Microsoft official documentation. And also we have seen where all it has a global presence. This is not updated one, but this gives you an overall understanding and idea about your global presence of Azure data centers. So each physical Azure data center, that particular location in Azure terminology, will call it as a region. Clear, folks? And then till now we have discussed, like let's talk about as part of today's session, history of Microsoft Azure. So Azure, if you see now, instead of if you compare Azure with AWS, you easily identify that you'll be hearing most of the companies are using AWS than Azure. All right. What is the reason behind is that AWS came into the market bit earlier. It means around like 2005 and 2006 itself. They started giving the cloud offerings, right? As a right from a 2006 onwards, where AWS has started giving the cloud offerings. That's where it has have a major business comparatively with Azure. But now slowly Azure is taking over and then trying to have its own business, right? So Azure came into the market in 2010, whereas the Azure, the service name will call it as a ASM. ASM stands for Azure Service Manager. By the time the web page which we use it to do our administration, that portal URL is manage.windowsazure.com. This particular URL is now no more available, and this portal, the world portal, will also call now as a classic portal, right? What is the world portal and world service? Will call it as Azure Service Manager, ASM. World portal will call it as a classic portal now, and the world URL is manage.windowsazure.com. This URL is no more available. Clear. And access controls, like we have an account administrator, co-admin and service administrator. We don't have a much granular level of roles available with the world portal. In 2015, what happened? Microsoft Azure brought in a service called Azure Resource Manager, right? This will call it as ARM portal or ARM ARM portal. They will call it as either ways. It refers to the current and the introduced, whichever is introduced in 2015. That's the same portal currently serving for the Azure business. The URL of your administration work, if you're started working in Azure, that is portal.azure.com. This is the URL where you typically manages, administer, troubleshoot, configure, so whatever the operations as part of your cloud as a journey, it will be part of portal.azure.com. Right? Access control. This is nothing but the roles. This is the one among the major feature which has been introduced in ARM portal is that the UI anyhow it been completely changed. The classic portal UI and ARM portal is completely two different opposite shapes. And when it comes to access control, it has been introduced RBAC. RBAC stands for role based access control, right? When I say the role based access control, it stands for based on your technology, right? Let's say Chiranjeevi is referring to a database administrator, Harsha is belongs to a backup, for example, and then Siva is belongs to virtual machines, and Saidis belongs to storage, Venkatis belongs to network. So for all of your different technology folks, there is a defined roles available so that you have full control on your own technology. Other services you cannot create and manage and do the operations. So that's the main advantage of dealing with RBAC, role-based access control. So we'll discuss in this session itself how to assign a role-based access control as being an Azure administrator, how to customize the role-based access control if at all it's needed for your business. We'll discuss. Yeah. And this is small differentiation between the ASM and ARM. ASM stands for Azure Service Management. ARM stands for Azure Resource Manager. These are all the URLs. This URL is now no more available. If you click this URL, if you see now, this is not been accessing. But if you just click on this URL, portal.azure.com, this is where your entire work will reside. This is where you typically handles and manages everything. I will take you through this like walkthrough about Azure portal navigation and other stuff. For now, like this is just to go through this basic differentiation between ASM and ARM. Deployment models. So World Portal does support PowerShell. The newer portal, the in-house solutions from Microsoft is PowerShell as well as JSON templates. Now the JSON templates will also call it as a ARM templates. So whatever we do as an operation, right, using an UI in the portal.azure.com, same operation can also be done using PowerShell as well as ARM templates, right? So virtual machines as part of cloud service here is a resource group. So we have a dedicated session like what is mean by resource group, how to create and all other stuff. Commandlets, if you see new hyphen Azure resource here, new hyphen Azure RM resource. So what they have introduced in between, if you see the order commandlets of a PowerShell, new commandlets of a PowerShell, you could notice that RM they have introduced in between the Azure and resource. So I'm just taking one example of a command from a PowerShell. You could easily identify that with the newer portal Azure Resource Manager. You could see the Azure RM as a keyword being introduced between these two. Right now, what they have done, Microsoft Azure RM as a keyword also been taken out. It is replaced with AZ, right? AZ resource, AZ network, AZ storage, something that sort. So why I'm keenly explaining to you this particular area here, because when you are browsing through some kind of a scripts in internet for Azure to create a VM, to delete a VM, to create a storage or create a VNet, whatever the operations, you might find some older scripts with the Azure RM, right? What you need to do when you are not finding the latest script, take out the old script which is having Azure RM, and that particular Azure RM you just replace with AZ and then make use of it. Okay, entire script, Control F, find the Azure RM, replace with AZ and then make use of the same script. Right, this is the one of the use case of using the PowerShell commandlets which you are browsing through from internet. When it comes to access, as I mentioned, we don't have access control in ASM. ARM, they brought in the feature of RBAC, right? What is mean by RBAC? RBAC stands for role-based access control. So why they are calling as role-based access control, guys? Based on your technology, your expertise, if you want to manage some services in Azure, you have a dedicated role, right? Before talking about individual technology role, these are all common administrative roles are available, right? Owner, has full access to all resources, right? So if you are assigned as being an administrator, if I am assigning all five of you as a owner to the Azure portal, so what you can typically do, you have a full access to all the resources, including you can delete a resource, create a resource, manage a resource. It means any all full permissions you will be dealing with the owner privilege, right? You have a contributor. Contributor role is something like where can create and manage. It is equal to owner. There is no difference between owner and contributor, whereas contributor also can create, can delete, can manage the resources in Azure. But only difference is as being a owner, I can grant access to other people, right? But contributor cannot grant the permissions to other engineers. But when it comes to operations, it will be similar or same as owner, right? Reader stands for he can only view the resources. He cannot do anything else. Shall we quickly go and explore how the portal you can log in, how it look like, the navigation, and then I will also explain about how the RBACs roles and where to navigate and see.
Surender, one more access will be there. Cannot you permission also will be there, no?
Sorry,
You permission,
you are referring to view.
permission. So owner contribute read one more permission also will be there. That name is you permission.
I believe view you are referring as a reader only can view the existing Azure resources. This is what this role stands for. Apart from this reader, contributor and owner, you have around 300 and plus sub like kind of a roles available.
Oh,
Okay, we're going to talk about all of them now itself as part of today's session. These are all kind of administrator roles like you and me has to be assigned, and then we will manage the Azure environment. For an for an end users, we have 300 plus roles available, right? We'll talk about them in a short while. So till now, any questions? Okay. So before what I will do now, I will navigate to the portal. So I will go to the browser. So I'm just opening my browser, typing portal.azure.com. It will navigate and you need to enter your username and password in this AZT training 26 account I'm holding, which I'm already logged in. Right, this is how your Azure portal look like. So when you are clicking on this all resources, right, this all resources will give you an understanding and information about what are all the different kind of services offered by Microsoft Azure, right? Whatever it is there in your mind, you just name it, will validate that respect to service is able to fulfill by Microsoft Azure. Right? When it comes to compute related, you have your virtual machines. Hope you guys have an idea about virtual machines, what is mean by a virtual machine now, which we have discussed as part of our initial session. What is mean by virtual machine?
so we'll enter another organization. So there will work.
Sorry.
It's kind of another desktop. So if you want um, some privacy. For example, I'm in convergent network. So if you want to work a client network, they will create one VM for me. So I have to log in there, then I can work for client, whatever requirement from client side.
That will call it as a VDI,
Oh,
virtual desktop that is, right? So servers, if you just able to recall from my initial session, my first session, if you could able to recall, right, what we have discussed, virtualization and the virtual machine.
no, sir.
So AZT27, this is the one which we have been open. Raw.io, open existing diagram. So what we have discussed, guys, as part of a first session, what is mean by virtual machine, we'll call it as here. Virtual machine in the sense, typically it is running on a one physical hardware where virtualization is a layer will come into the picture that takes the responsibility and allow you to run more number of operating systems on top of a single hardware. Right? This is what we discussed as a virtual machine. Able to recall all of you? Right, this is what I'm just referring. If you see when you're seeing a virtual machine, what typically in the backend it is giving you, this is an infrastructure as service, whereas still virtualization layer will be taken care by Microsoft. You just come and create a virtual machine based on your requirement and start make use of it. Like this, you have n number of services, virtual machine. If you see virtual machine as a classic means it is a world portal. So if at all you are not been migrated from a world portal to new portal from last 7 years, still you could see and manage them using this particular option. You have app services to deploy your websites, functions to run your application jobs, Kubernetes services to run your Docker images to run and to have a microservices. SAP HANA you can run on Azure. Right, these are all typical known service which I could name it, right? And then compute related. When it comes to networking, again, you have virtual networks, load balancers, route tables, WANs, WAF, DDoS, right? Distributed denial of a service, firewalls, site-to-site VPNs, all other technologies. Similarly, we have so many storage related services, web related services. If you want some mobile related, containerization, Docker related, databases, if you name whatever the database like SQL, MySQL, Postgres, MariaDB, right? All the databases is available as part of a Microsoft Azure, right? And then you have analytics. Analytics is nothing but you might have heard of your big data services, right? Have you heard of this technology, big data, Hadoop, right? If you want to use,
Yes.
yeah, if you want to use that kind of services in Azure, it does provide from using HD Insights, data lake, Informatica related services. If you want to run in cloud, you have a data factories to run Power BI and all other stuff. Apart from this, you have AI and machine learning, so artificial intelligence and machine learning services, right? If you want to create and manage some kind of a bot operations, you might have using your company's the bots, right? So what is mean by bot? It is a predefined questionnaires will be defined in that bot. If you ask any question, if it is matching somewhere in this particular time frame, that could send the information to you or respond back to you in a chart itself without having a human interaction or human dependency. Your bot itself will be given answer to you. You might have seen this in your banking applications on some kind of social media platforms, right? If you see face API to recognize your face, language understanding, this will understand your language and then translate to different understandable language. If you want to require Q&A maker question and answers, it will get makes speech services. So there's a lot of machine learning and bot related uh, things which is available in Azure. And we have Internet of Things. So IoT, this is currently ruling the market where you could make use of IoT in Azure, right? Integration services. So when it comes to integration services, this typically needs in every organization, right? Where you have two different environments, you want to bridge those environments, right? In this Azure native services, we have logic apps for messaging based applications. You might have heard of this Kafka, Confluent. Have you guys ever heard of these names?
Yeah.
So those services will be used for messaging, right? Where your application want to send a message, receive a message using some in between integrated services. That service is available in Azure using logic app, service bus, event bus, and all other stuff. Identity. So identity is nothing but where you will be getting authentication for your workloads using Active Directory. In Azure, it has inbuilt solution. We have dedicated session on Azure AD, minimum of 3 classes. We have dedicatedly going to discuss about Azure Active Directory and all other stuff and how you will do the governance and security of your services. Security again is a separate component. You might have heard like in your organization, security, you could call it as altogether different technology, different a team in the organization. Yes, in Azure also we have a security services. If you want to run DevOps as a solutions in Azure, we have Azure DevOps. It's a native solutions available in Azure, which you could make use of it. Migration services and backup and disaster recovery services we have. Azure Migrate, this particular solution is designed for your migrating your workloads. This is recovery services vault will be used for your backup your workloads and to enable a disaster recovery for your workloads. Right. So we have dedicated session on backup and DR, right? Minimum of 2 to 3 sessions again on those concepts where we could real time enable the backup to a virtual machine, restore the virtual machine. Will also enable disaster recovery for a virtual machine. Will primary location will make it down and will up the server in a secondary region, right? When the disaster comes in. So all those things we'll see practically. And then monitoring piece. So every organization, you could see that monitoring is in place, right? When there is something happens, you will be get alerted, right? Let's say my virtual machine is down, my storage is not accessible, my network is down. So how you will be identified in kind of larger environment? You cannot go and check all the time, all the resources in the monitor or a portal, right? So you will be typically using the alerting mechanism using monitoring solutions. All right, we'll have a monitoring as part of our last session. We'll typically discuss about monitoring as well, one dedicated session. And this is management and governance related services, Intune for your security for your devices, hybrid multi-cloud where you could manage hybrid cloud environments using Azure portal and all other services. If you see, is it been covered most of the different kinds of services, guys? So we have covered, we touch based on every aspects of an IT, every aspect of a technology as part of a cloud. Is that clear? Right? It is not like only it is very minimal number of services which we will only understand and then do the job only on respect to services. No. When you are coming to the cloud, it means you will be getting an idea and understand about entire infrastructure. But as of now, you might be seeing as in your teams, there is a separate Windows admin, separate Linux admin, separate VMware admin, separate network admin, storage admin, security admin, right? When it comes to cloud, all these roles you will be playing. You will be creating virtual machines. You are responsible for Azure storage. You are responsible for networking in Azure. You are responsible for application code deployments or websites where it has been running in cloud. You are responsible to manage those websites, load balancers, Active Directory, monitoring, all those things you will be handling in as a single person in cloud. That's where it does help you to get an overall understanding how the IT or how the infrastructure as a wing is currently serving the business. Right? That is one of the advantage you could feel that by completing this particular entire session of Azure, you will understand that how actually entire infrastructure layer will function. Clear, guys, at the end of the day. Any questions?
Okay. Yeah, Surendra, like, as you, hello?
Yes, yes, Chiranjeevi, tell me.
Yeah, yeah. See, yeah, I mean, as you, can you go back to this portal screen, the where you are showing the services and all that?
Yeah.
Yeah, here you see like all the services are like independent to each other. How we can create a map between like, for suppose there are hundreds of services here. I want to use one or two. Say for example, there is a under database, like I need to use one of the database
Mm-hmm.
options, and for applications as like app service was there. How
Mm.
like see when you want to integrate like at the end, like I need to use the messaging service, in between I need to use AD for authentication. Is there
Correct.
any place like where we define a flow, or like how we can use how can you like map one service to other?
No, you cannot map it like an chart here, but you could pick and choose and make use of the services. For authentication, AD is required. That is pretty much clear. You are developing an
Mhm.
application, your developers, and they are enabling the authentication code to your application. Right?
No, no.
Then,
My thing is, which is the centralized repository, or like in a place where I can, call all the different services and make a flow for my environment. See, I don't want all the services to for my project, right? So I just pick different products at different level. Like here I under compute I'll just pick like for example a virtual machine. If you go
mhm,
down like on the network, like because all are different heads, right? All are different services, all are
correct,
independent services. How I
correct.
can map like where I can keep all my say at stage, like if two projects are running, like for one project it requires one service, and other project requires other service. How I
Hmm.
can uh,
So,
make a set of services at one place to make use of it.
understand. So when it comes to your services, right, it is not like each one will depend are independent services. Some services, your statement is right. Most of the services independent services, but some service has to be collaboratively work. Let's say you are creating a virtual machine. Virtual machine requires an image, like operating system, which operating system you want to create. Virtual machine requires storage to store your OS, to store your data, disks. Virtual machine to communicate with others, it requires a network, right? So here your collaboration of virtual machine along with the storage and network. These are all three different services you are using mandatorily to create and run one virtual machine. You got it?
Okay.
So inside
Yeah.
a virtual machine, again, you are installing some kind of an application. So in that case, you don't have any other dependency because it is in your application. Assume that you don't want to install a run and virtual machine. You don't know how to manage a network, how to manage a storage. We'll go for app service. What app service does? It will directly give you an option to create, get your data, your code data deployed and run the website. When you are running the website, for website to run also there is some configurations management is needed, kind of enabling the certificate, enabling the SSL for it, right? All other things. So that part will be taken care as part of Azure administration. So like, these things will be discussed, nothing to worry. So each layer by layer, like creation of a service from a virtual machine, right, we'll be discussing in detail. So that's where probably you will get some fair bit of an understanding how these resources are functions. But my
Okay.
intention to show in this screen is that, so as a cloud offering from Microsoft as an Azure as a solution, it does have all the options. So for your business to run, whatever you name it, it will provide you the service. That's the understanding.
Yeah, yeah, that understanding was clear. My question was different. Like, if I
And
want to club, one or more services for a
hmm,
project, like, where I'm working for, like, how I can internet and map, like, because I want to use a service which is in, as part of the chart which you are showing, right? If I
hmm.
pick one, how I can, like, make use of it. How, like, application, the one which my project knows, like, how I can map to the particular service actually. I just want to make a pointer, like, how I can, make use of the service actually.
Hmm.
That's my question.
Yeah,
That's
I,
my
I, I
opinion.
completely understand your question and thought process, right? How different services come together and function as one
For
application,
project, right? Correct,
right?
correct,
How you are collaborative and then run one up, because that is typically is the case if you go with on-premises, Azure, AWS, wherever you go, at the end of the day, you have only one application is running,
correct.
right? For that one application, you have hell lot of services is running in the backend. It
Right.
can be a virtual machine, it can be a storage, it can be a database, right? It can be a messaging services, right? It can be a security services. So there is lot of layers to serve one application.
No, the reason why I just shoot out this question, like, when we go for a new project design or a project cycle, right? We'll come up with an, plan, like project plan,
Mm,
with
mm,
the architectural diagram. So if I want to map a service, I need to know what it is. See, when in the physical, like, on-prem, data, like in a project plan and all, like I can just pick up like a hardware, service, network, load balancer, firewall. So those are independent third-party products, like, where we are bringing in and mapping in actually. We
Yeah,
talk
here
about.
also similar. Here also there is
Okay.
no much difference, Chiranjeevi. Whatever you just named it, let's say if you want to run a service on a VM, you will pick up a VM. If you want multiple VMs to load balance, you have a load balancer available. If you want to use Azure Firewall, you have a firewall. So these are all typical components is available in Azure. We can pick and choose and combine and run the service. But you will get some understanding as soon as at least we create one virtual machine,
Okay, fine. Got it.
right? That will happen probably next to next session. So meantime, we'll be discussing all the options. So by the time,
Right.
I'm sure that you will get some understanding.
Okay, fine. Clear. Thank you.
Yeah, done. How about others? Any questions?
No, Surendra. If you show one by one service, that is well and good.
We have dedicated sessions for it. Like it's not like everything we're gonna cover, right? It's not typically it's quite not possible that everyone has an expertise in all the areas, but for an administrator, what all is needed, yes, we're gonna cover most.
And one more thing, so how to create this Azure portal, how to subscribe. Do you
Huh.
have any suggestion?
I will come to that. So for now, like we have one free trial which are being used for a different batch. So I will also provide you an access which we will discuss how to provide an access using an RBAC, role-based access control. Once that is been this has been expired, and then probably any one of you subscribe for one more free trial. For now, just make use of it because one free trial can be used for 30 days only.
Okay.
Yeah.
You want us to create, or you will use this one only?
For now, we'll let's get used because whoever is get created, it will get expired in 30 days.
Okay. Will you provide access for this Azure?
Yes, yes, I will grant access right away. I will do the demonstration as part of today's session, how to grant an access.
Okay.
Okay, it's that of background noise I go. So this is how you could explore all services. If, for example, if you are not clear where to search, what to search, you could use this global search. You search anything here, it will come. You name it anything. Let's say if you want just type network, it will give all network related services. If you just type storage, it will give you all storage related things, right? Documentation, everything. Similarly, if you just type firewall, it will give all firewall related. If you just type load balancer, right, it will give all the load balancing related services. So this is a kind of a global search for you. If you are nothing is in your mind, just come here and type something. You will get some responses. Based on the response, you will get some fair bit of an understanding, and then you will take it proceed. This is the search box, right? On the top right corner, if you just put your mouse, you can log into your portal at azure.com today now also using your company username and password. Yes, it will allow you to log in, nothing to worry. You can see this top right corner with a name. So name will be, in this case, is Azure Training Class 26. In your scenario, it is name, your name will be get up here. Email will be your O365 organization email will list down. Directory will be your company name. If you're working for TCS, HCL, you could see that particular name and the directory, and you could see the domain. Domain is something like whatever the company you will be working for. Let's say you are working for TCS, your domain is tcs.onmicrosoft.com. So why it is an on Microsoft and all of the stuff we'll discuss when it comes to Active Directory. For now, your directory here you are seeing as a default directory. In a real-time scenario, you could see your organization name. Clear, guys? This is the notification window. So whatever we do in this portal, create, delete, and manage, everything will be recorded as an activity and give a notification. Let's say VM is created, it will say VM is created. If at all, if there is an storage is deleted, storage is everything, it will be as a notification. You could get be recorded here. And one more important thing I could say is a command line. If you want to do some operation instead of GUI, if you want to run through using a bash from a Linux using a PowerShell, yes, you could pick and choose and click on OK, so that you will be get your command line will be opened in the browser itself and you can run your commands on it. Right? This is how you will be kind of management options. If you could see in this bar, show the portal menu, top left corner, the 3 bars. This is your customized window. So these create a resource like if you want to create any resource, right? You can click on this plus create a resource or a home button. You have a create a resource, right? Or as you go to virtual machines, click on create like that. You can name it to any resource. Let's say app services, click on it, click on create and creating from here create a resource or top left to go to create a resource. Either ways, whatever it is, it will be the same operation. There will be no difference in it. All right. Here you could see as a favorite section, like all resources, resource group. These are all different kinds of services in Azure. This is customizable. It means it is not like to use this custom kind of, as we just seen in Azure, you have thousands of services. Only some it is available under favorites. Assume that you don't want to see Docker as a service Kubernetes. You just go and then uncheck this favorite star button. If I'm uncheck, what will happen? This Kubernetes will be removed from my favorites. Now, if you see Kubernetes service is available, it is not available. Let's say you want to see this particular SQL database already there. Disk encryption sets, if you want to see under your favorites, just go here, select this favorite button or a star button. So what will happen now? Your disk encryption set as a service is available under your favorite section quick menu. Clear?
Yeah.
Yeah. And all your projects, like as Chiranjeev also is mentioning, how we will segregate. There might be hundreds of services, hundreds of business, hundreds of applications. How I could segregate my projects under one company. TCS is the company can be serving for 100 different clients, right? Or in-house applications. How TCS will segregate their services using subscriptions. What is mean by subscription, guys? So in our scenario, we are using a free trial as a subscription. So you are seeing only one subscription here with a name called Azure Subscription 1. In a real-time scenario, how it will list down based on number of subscriptions you have an access, the RBAC access control, which we just discussed, right? Theoretically. So if you're having 100 subscriptions as a owner permissions, how many subscriptions will get listed down in the screen? All 100 subscriptions will get listed down. Okay. So let's say your TCS as an organization is working for Passport. There is one subscription. Working for IRCTC, one more one. Working for Air India, there is one more subscription. Working for Vistara, one more subscription. Like this, based on the client, based on the project, you can segregate the services, right? Using subscriptions.
Okay, Surendra, how will I identify that this is a subscription for ARTC, this is a subscription for something, something?
Yeah, your naming convention will make a sense actually. That is how we'll do the naming convention, the real-time scenario. So this time, if the subscription name is only Azure subscription 1, correct? In a real-time scenario, they will name this as Air India. So by seeing this, you will understand the subscription will be used for Air India.
Meaning like, each subscription is, we can call it as a project, right?
Yes, correct.
Meaning like, no, so for example, the one which you logged in is a centralized common portal. If you want to navigate to different subscriptions, like, based, like X is my project which I'm working for. I need to switch to X, the subscription X, where I it take it to the projects.
You don't need to switch. You just need to select typically.
No, every time when we, want to connect to work, for example, in real time, in office situation.
This is your project one. Click on this project one. And then here you do all the management of your resources will get listed down here. Okay. These are all the resources.
So for the specific subscription.
Project, click on this, go to the services and do the management.
Okay. Every time this is the navigation we follow, right? Like, if you want to, do our day-to-day task at office, we need to go to this page. We need to select the respective subscription and we need to work on it. Okay.
That's it.
How for example, in the portal, how we can know which subscription it was by, what will be the default subscription which will, connect to. When I log in with my access to the specific, to this portal, what is the basic, subscription it will connect to?
By default, nothing. It will, there is no concept called default subscription. By default, it will be nothing.
Oh, it will be blank. Okay.
Having blank.
Okay.
By default, it is a blank. You cannot see anything else. You will start seeing only when you have an access. What is the access? At least any one of these access.
Okay. Understood.
What is those access we just discussed?
To the portal, right? Not to the the specific project.
To the wherever it is, to the portal project. You should have any one of the role, at least reader role, to see what is there in the sub. If you are not having any role assigned for your ID in your company, there might be 100 subscriptions are giving a service, but you cannot see anything because you don't have any role assigned. Okay, shall we see how we can provide an access? Let's say I am the owner for the subscription, right? You are my team members as newly joined, for example, to manage my Azure platform. What I typically do, if I'm having 10 subscriptions, I will go each subscription like this, click on it, and are you able to see something called access control here? Click on access control here, click on add. So by clicking on add, you could see add a role assignment. Here, if you see how many roles are available, owner, contributor, reader, only these three only we discussed, correct? Apart from this, if you see how many roles are there, these many hundreds of roles are available. So as you guys are kind of an admin status, I need to allow as your contributors to the subscription. I'm just clicking on next. To whom I want to provide an access, guys, in this scenario? In your real-time scenario, your organization users will be synchronized to this particular area. You just type your name of to whom you want to provide an access. That ID will be available in the search results. In this scenario, yours is Gmail accounts, right? Is an external IDs. I will invite and then provide you an access as a guest to this directory. For now, don't get confused what is meant by guest, what is meant by AD and other stuff. We'll have a dedicated session to discuss on it. Right?
Okay. Okay, Surendra.
Yeah. So what I'm doing now, I'm going to assign a permission to one of you as a owner, and then let's others provide an access to all remaining Gmail accounts.
So I have a normal basic question. See, in the organization, say for example, from the Microsoft team, we are more than 200 plus practice, for example, okay, and you work for a TCS and they have a single portal, like the portal access what you show, portal.azure.com. So see, if I grant an access, right, when I log in, there'll be multiple subscriptions for different accounts. Maybe TCS has multiple customers, right? They have their own accounts and they have their own subscription. You mean like all the team members can see all the subscriptions, which was like mapped to the organization?
No, they cannot unless they have explicitly added like this. What I'm doing now.
No, you are doing to see permission to to access the subscription, right? My question is like can they view the list of
No.
the accounts?
That's why we have a dedicated role of a reader. Now, what is the reader role will do here?
His question is, Surendra, his question is the without, so blindly we open the page, we can see the subscription, so without any access.
You cannot see it without having any role-based access control assigned to your ID, basic at least reader role, you cannot list or you cannot see them at all.
Under the subscription
Others,
tab.
nothing. You don't see it's a blank page. If you want, you can log into your company portal@azure.com right away in your browsers using your company username and password. You just click on the subscriptions. You cannot see anything.
Okay.
Why you are not able
Unless
to see anything? Because you don't have any role defined. At least these are owner and contributor at least for administrators. For reader to see also, you don't have any role defined, hence you cannot see them.
Okay. Yeah.
So what I am doing now, as part of our requirement, I am allowing one of the engineers. So I'm just now, as I am the owner of the subscription, I'm clicking on this subscription, go to access control, click on add role assignment. So I'm adding one of you as a owner. So what owner can do? Owner grants full access to manage his resources, include ability to assign roles to other engineers as well. So I'm clicking on owner role, adding a user. So in this case, I'm adding Shiva Pulikonda. Is that correct, Shiva? It is Shiva Pulikonda 08 @gmail.com. So in your real-time scenario, guys, you will not type Gmails, right? You will type your TCS accounts only, correct? If you're working for a TCS, your colleagues also TCS engineers only. So you just type their first name and last name. Your all accounts will be matching with that name will be listed down. You just need to pick a user account from there. In our scenario, we are not belongs to a company. We are inviting your personal ID to manage the subscription. So it will be add as a guest, but nothing to worry. We'll discuss in detail what is mean by guest, why it is coming as a guest, and all other stuff. For now, just understand that I'm just assigning Shiva Pulikunda as a owner to my subscription. Click on select, click on next. You could see overview as I am scope is this particular subscription. Role as with the owner, member is Shiva. I'm just review and assign. So now what will happen? As it is in different company, Shiva is from a Gmail company. He will get the invitation to come and access my company directory, company subscription. He just need to accept the invitation, log into this portal azure.com using his Gmail, and then he could able to see the subscription. Right, Shiva? So you have all of other members' Gmail accounts available in the WhatsApp chat. Take them all the Gmail accounts. Provide owner permissions to remaining 4 people. Will you be able to do that? Shiva, okay. Right. Can you mute yourself if you don't have any questions? Yeah. If you have some questions, that's okay. You can mute and
Certain, for example, I have I have Azure portal admin access. So I want to see the whoever there in the means whoever having access. How can I check? For example,
so
list of
the same
users. Yeah.
access control, you just click on role assignments. So under role assignment, you could see who are all is being added as a permissions are allowed. If you see these many people are owner on the subscription, in real time, you could see these many people are owner, these many are contributor, these many are readers, right? All other roles you could see, right? These are all, it does support to add 2000 people. Is this is limit of the subscription? You can add 2000 engineers, 2000 different roles can be given. If you see roles here, these are all built-in roles. Are you able to see how many built-in roles are available apart from owner, contributor, and reader? So let me explain once again what is mean by owner. Owner have a full permissions on a subscription. He can create, he can manage, he can delete any service in Azure, right? he can also provide access to other engineers. When it comes to contributor, contributor is the role. It is similar to owner. It means he can create, manage, delete any resource, but he cannot provide access to other engineers. That is the only difference between owner and contributor. Reader will be only having a view permission to the portal.
One more question. So subscriptions will create, those will create automatically based on the project, or else we have to create a subscription, these subscriptions.
Your account administrators, like it is not be allowed for an Azure admins. Next level to your folks, like your managers will have an access. They will add a subscription like this. Are you able to see some button called add here?
Yeah.
You can this by default you won't have a control to add a subscriptions. This will be get added. So these subscriptions will be created under your plans as well. Right? What will happen when you start using Azure services from Microsoft, right? You have an option directly subscribing by your credit card in a pay-as-you-go model. Okay, so that what will happen? You use it for a month, you will be get charged. That bill automatically will get from credit card. That is pay-as-you-go model. We have two more other models are enterprise agreement and CSP, cloud service provider. What is mean by enterprise agreement? You have a partner company from you and Microsoft in between. A company, any kind of company will do these jobs, kind of partner companies. They will handle your billing part for your account. In this case, who is your account? It is TCS as your account. If you interested to use as an enterprise agreement as a plan using a partner, what will happen? You do the recharge. Let's say you do the $100, start using it. Once it is being used, I can do some kind of a recharge, right? And you will be get some kind of a benefit based on your commitment which you do with the partner. I will be get billed these many amount of a dollars, and then they will give some kind of a benefit in return to you, right? That is one plan we'll call it as EA, Enterprise Agreement. Make a note of it. The plans, like most of the companies will be having EA, Enterprise Agreement. Whereas there is a partner company in between to you and Microsoft to perform and manage your billing, and for support and all you will be dealing directly with Microsoft. And you have one more plan called CSP. CSP stands for Cloud Service Provider. When I'm saying cloud service provider nowadays, each and every service-based company is functioning as a CSP provider. It means you will take directly kind of services from Microsoft and you offer each subscription to one project from different company, and you handle entire billing and you handle entire support, right? Without allowing him to speak with Microsoft. With that, like as you are giving a business to Microsoft, you will get some written benefit from Microsoft. Similarly, you'll give some kind of credits, what you are getting from Microsoft. You also give some kind of benefit to your projects as well, right? That we'll call it as a CSP, Cloud Service Provider. These are all the two different plans. One is Enterprise Agreement, other one is Cloud Service Provider.
Yeah. Surendra, I have two questions here.
Yes,
See,
please.
yeah, you said like we have created a user, you are sending access over here from the for this particular subscription, right? Where
Yes.
these users are not get created, it will be created in AD or like somewhere else,
Yes.
in this for this portal access.
Yeah, it will comes from an Active Directory only. So
But
by as soon as it's
you didn't create an Active Directory here, right, for this
yes.
subscription?
We are yet to discuss about Active Directory as a dedicated session. By the
No.
time
Yeah, I totally understand. My question here is for the specific subscription. When you subscribe, we need to. I mean, when you create this particular user account, right? We need to select those that part as well, right? Creating an Active Directory piece and all. It will create by default to this particular subscription.
no, Active Directory will work as for every organization by default. Active Directory will be there because
Okay.
your O365 emails you are using it not today. So
Mhm.
to use O365 email box, webmail, web outlook, prerequisite to have an Azure Active Directory. So by
Okay, you
default,
mean like for all the TCS employees, like for example, here we are taking TCS as reference. For the all the TCS employees who is accessing the portal, they'll have by default that, I mean, the accounts will be there in IAD. So they're in like, you're assigning the access to them, right?
that's correct. So, but
Okay.
I'm going to tell you how the users are coming from on-premises to cloud, how the users are coming first in place in this Active Directory. All those things for now, just understand that your
Right.
users will be there, but I'm going to create a domain controller for you and create a
Okay.
users in domain controller in on-premises. I'm going to show you how you can bring your users from on-premises to cloud, synchronization, authentication to your in-house developed applications. How will you enable the authentication system for third-party products if you're bringing in? How you will enable authentication system using single sign-ons, app registrations, all those things we'll discuss as part of our
Okay.
Azure Active Directory. We
Fine.
have dedicated sessions on it actually.
Clear, clear. I have a second question. See, the subscription, what you're saying is like in the previous session, you just explained about SaaS PaaS model, right? So
Mm.
this is a SaaS model, right? Software as a service, where you are showing, correct? This particular subscription version,
It's,
what you're showing me.
yeah, it is just a logical entity, is just for kind of an grouping your services only. It doesn't belong to any technical area. It is just a name. I'm just saying, boss, this is Air India is my project. I'm just using a name called Air India. You will be getting one unique ID for it. That will call a subscription ID. So with the different companies, names can be used same, but subscription ID will never be get conflict.
No,
Subscription
no.
ID.
My question here is like, when you talk about this particular subscription, like, where we are accessing the particular, like, project here, right?
Mhm.
So, yeah, we just talked in the previous session about like, infrastructure as a service, platform as a service, software as a service. What
Mm.
type of service is here, like, where we can see, like, what type of service we are picked for? Is it a software as a service? Because as you see, too many services here, which you talked about, like, we can pick one of the service for our project, and
So let's say you are picking up any service here.
yeah.
Let's say you want to create a virtual machine, right? When I'm
Mhm.
creating a virtual machine to create, for example,
Okay.
virtual machine.
Okay.
So it is asking you to pick the subscription as a mandatory parameter.
Right.
Okay. So it is IaaS, infrastructure as service, right? I'm going to the PaaS offering, that is my, let's say, web application to deploy my website.
Okay.
So if I go to the create, I will get similarly subscription. It means subscription is a logical entity. Under this subscription, what services you create and manage. It can be an IaaS, it can be a PaaS, it can be a SaaS offering.
Okay. Clear. It will be
Right?
independent. Okay. Whatever
It
we
is
at the
just a,
time.
yeah, it's just a nomenclature, right? We just use for our sake of understanding and a manageability.
Okay.
Some companies will use for one project 5 different subscriptions. Let's
Okay.
say Air India production, Air India UAT, Air India test, Air India dev. So because assume that they have only that business, nothing else they are doing. So what they will do for their simplification, for environments also they will use different subscriptions.
Okay.
Okay. And assume that you are having different customers. So what I will do in that case, I will create one subscription to one application. Inside that again, I will maintain the segregation that we will discuss, like actually how we will segregate again inside a services, how to create a service, right? How to assign a permissions. So once Shiva will added all your accounts as a owners, right? All of you will receive an invitation. That invitation, click on it, it will ask you to enter the username. You enter your Gmail or Outlook, whatever you have been giving. Click on next. If you enter the Gmail password, it will say it is wrong password because Microsoft will not recognize your Gmail password. Click on forget password, reset it, and then log in. You could see the same subscription because I allowed and I given a permission only to this particular subscription only. In a real-time scenario here, the number of subscription will be vary based on the role-based access control which you have assigned. If assume that you are a manager and you are being given reader permission across 10 projects, and all 10 subscription will be list down for you in a real-time scenario.
Surendra, we can't give at a time our subscription access.
Not using GUI, but you can use PowerShell script.
Okay.
You just run one layer of a script using PowerShell, just provide subscription IDs, or you just write some kind of loop, whatever for your account, right? For let's say surendra.adare@tcs.com, if he is having 100 subscription as a contributor or owner access, if I want to allow the permissions to you, what I will do, I will simply sign in with my account using PowerShell. I will get all my subscriptions. I will run my for loop from each subscription and assign it. You just run and go for a coffee and come back. All the roles will get assigned. Right? So something if you just precisely required, like after the sessions also, we'll see how you can provide you the scripts and other stuff if to minimize your efforts as well. So most of the requirements will be available in internet. You just need to get it and then just modify and make use of it for your business. Right? In tomorrow's session, what we will do, assume that we have these many built-in roles, correct? Your one of the requirement is not satisfying what is available as default. You want to customize based on your own role. Let's say AZT27 is the role name I want to create with my own defined permissions, combination of multiple roles into one